are the refinements that raise the grade. In this way, he would be able to become a high-grade alchemist. After all, the most difficult thing was the art of alchemy. That's the premise of everything. As long as the skill is raised, then it will be easier and easier to raise the grade later on. The reason why there are numerous alchemists who appear to have been unable to raise the issue. The first is that the technique is not up to standard, resulting in more impurities in the elixir that is refined, leading to the failure of the elixir refining. The second is that the strength is not up to par. For example, a cultivator who could micro-manipulate spiritual energy and had a very high level of divine thought cultivation would be able to refine pills more and more easily, because in this way, alchemy processing of herbs is like removing impurities under a microscope. When fusing the elixir, with the help of the divine idea, it was as if the molecules were in a position to have a catalyst. It makes the fusion of the potion just a little bit simpler and easier. And without these two alchemists, refining pills is like a blind man matching gunpowder. Don't know anything, just rely on feelings. It would be heavenly if this didn't fail. Let's begin. First, refine the Peiyuan Dan to boost your hand. At that moment, Chu Feng also stopped being overly nervous and began to refine the pills. With the system's display, and still refining the elixir while it was still hot, Chu Feng could be said to not be flustered at all. After all, his luck had never been very backward, but relatively high instead. Alright, under Chu Feng's refining, the second grade Peiyuan Dan was then quickly refined by Chu Feng. And it was still 3 alchemy materials through and through. This made Chu Feng still happy for a while. Strike the iron while it's hot. This explosive amazing Dan is also on hand. Start refining. Taking out the materials for the explosive amazing Dan, Chu Feng did not take a break, but took advantage of the fact that his hand and also the refining view were now present, and immediately began the next round of alchemy. A full 3 hours had passed before Chu Feng touched a handful of sweat on his face. Although his face was a bit tired, but he was in an extremely pleasant mood, because the 3 copies of the explosive amazing Dan were a little bit tougher to refine though, and there was a little accident in it, resulting in an elixir that was only of top grade. The other 2 concocted pills were both of extreme quality. Chu Feng tested it, and the power of the extreme grade had reached the mortal realm perfection degree and was still exceeding it. On the other hand, the power of the top grade degree of amazing explosion Dan was slightly less powerful, only the power of the late mortal realm. It looks like I'll have even more tricks up my sleeve. Chu Feng looked at the elixir in his hand, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. As they got higher and higher in rank, the cultivators had more tools at their disposal. The cultivators' undercurrents, their means had all been qualitatively improved. At that time, the battle was not only about cultivation, but also about means, cards, and so on. Whoever had more means, whoever had more cards, then whoever had a higher chance of winning the battle. This is the first path, with its cumbersome means and relative simplicity. If you live long enough, then you get tougher. Therefore, in the immortal and demon continent, every single one of those cumulative old devils and cultivators who had survived for hundreds of years were extremely scornful. No one wants to mess with them unless they have to. After all, no one knows how much the other side has to offer. Can you beat the other team? It would be a problem if we made a grudge. End of chapter. Chapter 120 Crisis. Chapter 120 Crisis. Well, that's the thing. Take the initiative, rather than waiting to regret it later. Enjoy it now. Tang Shishi's eyes lit up and she immediately marveled at her idea. She was originally a member of the demon race and acted as she pleased. It was supposed to be about following your heart. You don't have to worry so much. However, with Chu Feng's heart, if he finds out that I'm thinking like this, it won't be easy to make him eat soft food. Gotta think of a more normal excuse to get him to come back voluntarily. Thinking back to Chu Feng's stubborn appearance, and his self-reliant behavior, not someone who wants to be guarded at first glance. These people will use the power of others to do things though, but definitely not really a canary in someone else's hand. What they want more than anything else is to be in control of their own lives with their own strength. There, Tang Shishi stood in the middle of the peak, facing the blowing of the evening wind, quietly thinking about the excuses. Steeply, an extremely joyful smile appeared on her face, as if she had thought of some good method. Tang Shishi raised her slender, snow-white catkin, took out a jade slip from her storage bag, and shouted. At the foot of Lima Mountain, a woman in green came flying up. It's another of Tang Shishi's maids, Murong Wan Air. It was a girl that Tang Shishi had adopted on the human side 300 years ago. What he cultivated was also a human technique, and his current strength was at the late stage of the transfiguration mortal realm, coming to the critical point of the true immortal realm. But this level stuck numerous cultivators dead. Even a super talented genius like Wan Air had been stuck above this barrier for a full 100 years. Seeing that she had been silent in her cultivation and breakthroughs, Tang Shishi was afraid that she had cultivated and refined herself silly. So more than 30 years ago, She was called out and made to follow her in Xiaochen to serve her all the time. Lord Demon Emperor, One Air is here to greet you. When the green-clothed girl came up, she made a proper bow. One Air, there's no need to be like that. Both of you grew up with me. In private, just treat them as sisters getting along. Seeing this, Tang Shishir couldn't help but sigh and said with helplessness in her tone, this moron One Air is good at everything, but she is too old-fashioned. Adults are adults. One Air is One Air. This is the rule. If you mess up the rules, the following can be well managed. One Air said firmly. Well, say no more. Tang Shishir did not dwell on it and said as she steered the topic over. One Air, is there anything inside the sect that enhances talent? Well, the requirement is that it must be used in a prescribed place for the party to be effective. One Air sniffed, her embroidered eyebrows slightly lowered as she began to think. Within moments, a look of joy came over him and he said, yes, some time ago, didn't we sweep away the ancestral court of the demon race? There was a Huaqing pond right in it. An audit was an immortal quality qualification enhancing treasure medicine created from the sap formed from the 10th turn demon refining blood vine wood. This thing, which was created with the blood of a great demon of the true immortal realm and the demon clan's 10 revolutions of demon refining blood vine wood after we beheaded it, is capable of upgrading the top level's qualifications to become an existence of a special physique. And, due to the special reasons caused by the Huaqing Qi, the guide causes it to be able to be used and preserved only there. After a change of position, it may lead to the loss of the medicinal effect of the precious medicine, and because this precious medicine is too precious, so when we came back, we sent heavy troops and also under the seal on it, and can only use it if we get your approval. Weiner summarized this information in a single panel. Alright then, let's reinforce it once again. I'm useful for that precious medicine, and whoever wants to use it must go through my consent before doing so. Tang Shishir's face was extremely joyful. She was clear about her own affairs. There were a lot of resources inside the demon clan, so many that even she couldn't remember them. But there aren't many truly top-notch ones. Because of the high-grade ones, they were all used by her, directly allowing her own strength to break through and become the highest existence within the demon clan. I never thought that after attacking the demon race, I would be able to obtain such a good thing. Yes, my lord. One Air led the order and left in a hurry. Chu Feng, this time it seems like the heavens are trying to fulfill both of us. If I don't use it, I'm really a bit sorry for myself. Tang Shishir's eyes looked at the sky and her face calmed down. For a moment, no one could tell what she was thinking. Chu Feng, who was in another place, could not have thought that the natural ally on his side would start to crave for his people, and went to great lengths to seduce him. However, this matter had not yet begun, so Chu Feng was still struggling to concoct pills right now. Perform the next level of assessment. Time passed slowly, and without realizing it, it came to 3 days later. Linger, start the test. After Chu Feng woke up, he instantly turned to feel refreshed. After stretching his body bones, Chu Feng put the 2 types of pills on and tested them. The alcove swallowed the elixir, and within moments, Spirit's mechanical female voice delivered the results of the test. Rating, excellent. Is it time for the next level of the test? Let's begin. No need to keep waiting. Chu Feng's eyes, which were tinged with confidence, gazed calmly ahead. After so many times of refining pills, he had gained a few more insights into the refining of pills. At the same time, he had studied the effects of the amazing explosion Dan in order to specifically contrast them. For the later levels can be prepared as much as you can. May I have your attention? The 4th level of the test will begin. Please enter the next alchemy room. When Chu Feng agreed, Linger's mechanical voice sounded inside the 3 rooms at the same time. Finally, Linger jumped up with joy when she heard those words. She had been here for 3 full days memorizing books of text, and she felt like she was going to throw up after memorizing so much every day. She vowed that when she got out, she would absolutely not touch these books for a month, and would take a well-deserved break. Okay, let's go. The old man laughed and urged the excited Linger to walk ahead. It's finally opened in this damn trial level. Wait, artifact spirit right? When I become your master, I'm definitely going to pulverize you to pieces. Merdenton stood up and walked forward silently. With his head bowed, a slow oath escaped his lips. No one had treated him like that since he was born. Some of them, the grass is now 3 feet high in their graves. The existence in the 3 rooms, with a variety of thoughts like this, slowly walked into a large square of thousands of square feet. A quick glance here shows an empty platform. Just as Chu Feng looked at the empty platform in front of him with a puzzled expression. In the center of the platform, the illusory figure of an old man rose steeply. It was an old man wearing a long black robe with a thin face and a long beard on his chin. As Chu Feng looked at the figure, some doubts flashed in his eyes. It seemed like he'd seen the other man somewhere. Oh yes, the statue in the cave entrance. Suddenly, Chu Feng slapped his head and instantly remembered where he had seen the other party. However, after this illusory old man rose up, the eyes of the crowd also gazed at the old man's body. Only when the old man cleared his throat, he spoke. Trialists, welcome to the trial space of the old man. Bakuang Yen. This is the place of the 4th level of examination, and the penultimate level. So as long as you pass the next 2 levels of examination, you will be able to obtain my inheritance. Before coming here, you all have some understanding about me, right? So I won't talk too much nonsense. Let's get straight to the point. The 4th level of the test is to select the spirit medicine you need within the many spirit medicines here, and refine a 4th grade Peiyuan Dan. And if you refine it, you will be considered to have passed. Time limit, 3 days. As the explosive amazing Dan God's words fell, a huge platform rose in front of each of Chu Feng's 3 people, as well as an alchemy furnace. The top of the Dan furnace was covered with densely packed spiritual light and also patterns. Chu Feng took a look at the style of this alchemy furnace. With his previous vision, immediately, he judged that it was a 9th grade Dan furnace, and it was also the existence of the very best of the 9 products. Such a thing had an extremely high bonus for refining pills, and was an extremely friendly existence for alchemists. After the explosive amazing Dan God finished saying these words, his silhouette disappeared in the blink of an eye. On top of the enormous platform, only the 3 combinations of Chu Feng, Mo Dan Dung, and Zi Linger as well as the old man remained. It was not known whether it was calculated or not. Each group of Chu Feng and the others had just happened to occupy 1/3 of the territory. I can't imagine that there's still a beautiful woman present here. Old man, hurry up and send her over to me, or else you'll have a good time. Mo Dandong first glanced at Chu Feng's position, and after seeing that he was just in his usual Shen clothes, just like a normal person, his gaze left, turning his attention to the old man that combination above. When he saw Zi Linger 10, he looked at her nakedly at that moment. Zi Linger was wearing a long purple dress, with her long hair tied up and a quirky expression on her small face, giving people a desire to bully at first glance. With her purple outfit, for someone like Merdenton who had a strong desire to destroy, it can be extremely attractive. So when he saw the other party, Mo Dandong stared straight at her. Zi Linger was so looked at by him. At that moment, she felt a wave of nausea as well as fear, and couldn't help but hide behind her master. With a fearful look on her face, she said, "Master, that man's gaze is so evil. What should I do?" She hadn't seen anyone so rude as to look at people like that. When the old man heard this, he turned his head and met Mo Dandong's eyes that were tinged with a strong lustful look. A surge of anger and fury was born in his heart, and in a hot flash of his mind, he wanted to go up and beat this impolite guy up. One must know that although Zi Linger was not his daughter, but since taking it as his disciple, the old man then had been careful to take care of it, more precious than even to his own daughter. And now here comes someone like that, trying to covet his heart and soul. What person wouldn't be angry? However, as a 7th grade alchemist who had experienced many things and seen many great scenes, the old man calmed down and said with a clenched fist and an arch, "Old man Chidanzi, I don't know what this little brother is looking at us like this for." "Humph, bad old man. I'm a disciple of the refined Shadow Danzun. If you're sensible, send me the woman in front of you. To tell the truth, I've got my eye on her. As a even woman, it's her good fortune to be seen by me. Hurry up and send it over to me. When the time comes I'll be in a good mood. Maybe I'll let you guys pass too." Mo Dandong said with extreme arrogance and lechery. His gaze could be said to have not avoided for a moment as he kept looking at Zi Linger. There was a look in his eyes that he would not stop until he had done so. "Humph, kid, it seems that your master didn't teach you how to do things when you're not as strong as others. Now I'll teach you." Chidanzi listened to the other party's words. Originally his face still held respect, but the possessiveness that flowed from Mo Dandong's words. At that moment, the anger in his heart was no longer suppressed, and he immediately rushed over to teach this unself-conscious kid a lesson. 3 fires divine refinement. Blast! Red Danzi let out a cold cry, and a white, clear, and yellow flame intertwined together appeared steeply in his hand. The flames merged into a huge red flame fox in the blink of an eye in its hands. With a devouring ferocious light in its eyes, the fox directly pounced on Mo Dandong. Looking at the fox formed by the flames, a look of panic flashed in Mo Dandong's eyes, and he immediately tried to dodge it. Boo! However, before it could land on Mo Dandong, this flaming fox annihilated away in the air. "Protective mechanisms?" Chidanzi exclaimed. He had seen a lot and knew right away that this was the formation that the explosive amazing Dan God had used for the trialists to separate them from each other. No wonder the other party had put the alchemy places together and wasn't afraid that someone would intentionally make trouble. "Kid, I'll let you off this time. Let's see how I'll teach you a lesson when we get out. Let you know that your master is your master and you are you." Although he couldn't make a move against Mo Dandong, Chidanzi didn't have the slightest intention of letting the other party go in his mouth. As for the threat of the Dzungarian, the continent of immortals and demons is vast and boundless. Even the strongest people who had arrived from ancient times had not explored the edges. After he went out and casually found a place to hide, it would be strange for the alchemy shadow Danzun to be able to find him. Humph. Mo Dandong had seen Red Danzi make a move, and had also discovered that his cultivation was in the late Xian realm, and such strength was not something he could mess with right now. After merely